Doesn't it seem that this is like put on because Jehovah's Witnesses are losing so many people? So many Kingdom Halls have been sold because of lack of growth, even though Jehovah's Witnesses have lied about the growth and still are lying. Yeah, maybe there are some people that have come back because of emotional blackmail for their families, or just that they're still brainwashed. These experiences is really taking the mickey out of other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who can't speak to their families because of shunning. And if they think that this makes it look like to the governments that they're bringing people back and that they're talking to them, they're not shunning them. Look at the experiences. No real detail in any of these experiences. And that's just typical watchtower propaganda. So we know that more people are coming out of Jehovah's Witnesses than more people that are coming in. So obviously, the organisation wants to protect this fantasy to its 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses that people are coming back in numbers, which I don't think is correct, that it's a lie and a deception.
Individuals have come back to the congregation. The numbers are exciting, but we can't overlook that each of these dear ones have returned to Jehovah, and Jehovah loves them.
One man came to mind because he's deaf and blind, and he'd been away from Jehovah for 45 years. We prayed with him. We asked him where he was with things, and he said, I want to be back. I want to be back in the family. That's what he said. He's been studying regularly and attending the meetings ever since then, and he was reinstated about a month later. So when I tactiled that announcement for him that night, I said, you're back in the family. You're a Jehovah's Witness again. And he was just overjoyed at that.
There's a pioneer sister in our circuit that was asked to conduct a study with a young mom who's trying to make her way back to Jehovah. She was so excited after the first study. She said that first study went so well. It seems like everyone in the congregation is very happy just to have this arrangement in place. A sister told me it made her so happy to see that young mom who's studying smiling again. She hadn't seen it in a long time.
And one experience that is exciting is there's this man who's been removed for over 30 years, but he started coming to the meetings early this year. But he would sit at the back and not talk to anyone. But eventually, after this arrangement has been made available, when we visited him, he was so excited because he said, I didn't know what to do to come back to the congregation. And here we are visiting him. And he says he felt like a heavy weight has been lifted off his shoulders, and he has been reinstated.
A young man that I studied the Bible with who came into the truth under great difficulty. And so we thought of him immediately. And right away I sent him a message because I still had his phone number and said, please watch this governing body update, and I sent him the link. Well, the next day I received a reply to this message, and there was a photo of a letter that he had written to the congregation body of elders asking to be reinstated. I wrote back very excitedly and said, have you actually watched the update? And he said, yes, since yesterday I've watched this update 6 times. Well, of course, our hearts were absolutely overflowing. But we were even happier when about a month later, he was writing us to say, I have finally been reinstated.
The sister that was asked to conduct a study with a person, and she says, it's the greatest gift I've ever gotten is to study with someone who has been removed from the congregation. So her experience of crying with her, telling her that she liked her bag in the student says, I bought this bag years ago so I could go out in service when I got ready, when I was reinstated, showed her that she had been trying for a long time to come back, but just did not know how. And so the student now realizes that that was Jehovah that is helping her, and she feels grateful to be helped to come back.
By sitting in on that Bible study with someone who was removed from the congregation and seeing the benefit helped me to see the depth of Jehovah's mercy, because this young man has been removed from the congregation for 9 years. He has wanted to come back, he mentioned, but he just didn't have the strength to make steps to come back.
One person had been removed from the congregation some 17 years ago, and on his own, he was watching JW Broadcasting. He saw the update. He said, "This is it's time to come home."
Mm-hmm.
And so he called the Kingdom Hall. He left a voicemail, and the brothers received his message. They reached right out to him. A Bible study was started, and very happily, he too has progressed to being reinstated, and his parents were able to fly in and be there at the Kingdom Hall that night he was reinstated. He later said, "This is truly a homecoming."
I feel like it helps us to see another side of Jehovah as our Father. And you see how much he loves his children. And then he allows us to have a part in helping them to come back to him. And so we get to reflect his mercy too. And it's such a privilege.
Back in 1979, my father was removed from the congregation, and I was 8. You can grow up thinking, okay, maybe, my dad will come back in a decade goes by, 2 decades goes by, 3 decades goes by, and you don't want to lose hope, but it does tend to make you think that maybe this person might not ever come back. I get a phone call, and it's a friend of mine I've known for many years. He and another brother went to go see my dad, and he even accepted a study. At this point, I said, wow. I said, that's great, because most of my childhood and my entire adult life, I have not known a father who was serving Jehovah. You should never, ever underestimate the lengths Jehovah will go to save one sheep. One sheep. So, yeah, it's... Yeah, it's, If you weren't a believer in Jehovah's mercy before, no one will ever be able to say, when everything is over in the system of things, that Jehovah didn't care enough. He didn't make the efforts. He didn't send anybody out. You really can't say that.
Seems like it's wonderful news for the Watchtower. This is like the people are coming back to Jehovah, because Jehovah, you can tell that these people have not experienced people coming back to Jehovah. They're actors because of lack of growth. They're actors. They're acting Jehovah Witnesses, because maybe some are coming back, but not many. About the growth, and still they want people to think that many people are coming back, so that people will stay in the organisation. Blackmail for their families. This is a governing body helper still brainwashed that was on the video of masturbation on pillows. This is the guy on video that was dealing with who can't years ago when the apostates were outside Warwick, and if they think that they would never change, makes it the two witness governments. So we don't basically believe anything he says anyway, talking to them, because he lies and they lie. look at the experience. We know that they have a new studio. No real detail and act in any of these. But that's what a cult does. It acts. And that tries to manipulate people into thinking that it is easy to come back to Jehovah. People are coming out and try and blackmail people to come back for different reasons. So the good news is for me, I can't go back because I'm an apostate. This fantasy but still, they lost their charity status. People are coming back in numbers. Which I don't think is correct. Denmark or wherever it was, for shunning. So, whoever wants to go back is mad, or must be brainwashed or emotionally controlled that they want to see their parents. This organisation keeps changing its doctrine to make it look to the governments as if it is not shunning and that it's making it easier for people to come back to Jehovah when it's not. They are good at lying, and they're lying today, as Martin's saying.